Hi, I'm Amy, and this is A Star Reads. This is my second time filming, so now I have some scotch to help me loosen up a little. Very nice. Okay, so now I'm ready for the real deal. Last time was just test run. I was editing it and I was like, man, I seem aggressive or something like that. I just look like I'm not having a ton of fun. So I would like to have more fun this time around because I'm really excited about my October TBR. Oh, and I was complaining a lot about like summer's already over and da-da-da-da. And you know what? I'm excited about October. I'm excited that there's a lot going on book-wise. I'm really excited to get into some of these books I want to talk to you about today. So the big thing I'm doing, my own little thing, is that I'm gonna do a Riley Sager challenge. I've decided I've had it up to here. Everybody talks about Riley Sager, and I can't contribute anything because I've never read anything by him. So I'm fixing that this month. I'm going to read all 4 of Riley Sager's books, and I'm actually gonna vlog it, which will be fun because I started my YouTube experience vlogging, so it's something I feel very comfortable with and I enjoy doing. So this will be a fun month because I'm gonna do quite a bit of vlogging. Let's start talking about Riley Sager books. So the first one I wanna tell you about is Final Girls, which I think it was the first book he wrote. It's on its way in the mail to me, so I'll put a little image up right here. Final Girls is about this club of girls called the Final Girls. It's not an actual club. What happened is that each of these girls was in a situation where there was a mass murder of girls, and they were the last one standing, meaning they survived this mass murder. The media kind of labels them in this unofficial club, the Final Girls. So what happens in this is that you're kind of learning about this girl named Quincy. She's the most recent final girl. As the book goes on, the very first final girl is found dead. And I think she's found dead like with her wrist slashed or something like that. And it seems sort of suspicious. So this girl Quincy all of a sudden gets visited by the second girl in the Final Girls Club. And she kind of wants to ask her a whole bunch of questions, and she's sort of spending a lot of time with Quincy, and it's kind of suspicious. And she's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. For one, who is the person doing all these murders? And two, what's going on with this second girl? That one sounds interesting, but it's gotten a few mixed reviews, so we'll see. I'm interested to read it. It kind of sounds like a fun concept. The second one I want to talk to you about is Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This is a nice little creepy cover, actually. I think that looks cool. So what happens in this is that there's this girl named Emma, and when she was a child, she went to summer camp, and her and this other group of girls within their cabin were playing, I think they were playing the game Two Truths and a Lie. And at the end of the night, she's the youngest, so she ends up staying in the cabin and going to sleep, but the other girls sneak out, and after that, they're never heard from again. And she doesn't really remember what happened or what went on at that time, but as she grows up, she becomes this artist, and she's invited back to the camp to teach painting. And when she comes back, she's like, this would be a good opportunity for me to figure out what the heck happened to those girls all those years ago. And she starts, I think, experiencing some things, and she kind of learns some questionable things about the campground. That sounds like a lot of fun. I really like campground settings. I think it's fascinating, especially for horror stories. Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This one is about a girl named Jules. Some really bad things have happened in her life. She's kind of down on her luck, needs money, needs to get away from some of the things that have been bothering her. And she takes this job where she's sort of house sitting or apartment sitting. She's taking care of this apartment complex. And it's really odd because there's requests of her that aren't the normal kind of requests that are put on you when you're working in this kind of position. So I don't really know too much about it, and that's okay because I don't really want to know too much about it. However, what I do know is that she starts kind of meeting some of the residents, and she befriends one specifically, and then that resident goes missing. And something interesting about that resident is it reminds her of somebody very special to her. And she kind of has to figure out what the deal is with this apartment complex. And from what I read is it's like this really high-end apartment complex with rich people, and it's not like just some normal run-of-the-mill regular apartment complex. It should be interesting to find out what the mystery is there. The last Riley Sager book that I'll be reading, and the one that is most anticipated because everyone has talked about this, I've heard so many good things, and it is a book about haunted houses, which who doesn't love a good haunted house, is Home Before Dark. I'm excited about this one because it actually kind of coincides with another book I'm reading this month, so that's really awesome. Okay, so there's this girl named Maggie, and when she was a child, her family bought this house, and weird, crazy stuff happened. So much that it scared them away from the house, like they left the house. But the dad actually wrote a nonfiction book about all the ghost encounters and stuff like that in that house, and it became a really well-loved book. She's an adult. She knows her dad wrote this book, but she doesn't believe any of it, and her dad passes away and leaves her the house, and she wants to sell it. She doesn't really want to keep it. She wants to go there, clean it up, sell it. Well, turns out, not only are weird things happening in the house, but she finds weird relics that kind of like hint towards like some of the awful things that have happened in the house, which maybe have made it haunted. I don't know. And also she's dealing with the residents in the neighborhood, because that book that her father wrote really kind of angered them, because it kind of made their town look bad, or at least it brought people into the town that they didn't necessarily want in there. And so it seems like there will be several different elements that will be dealing with this in this. Ooh, I can't talk. I can't do the talking. It feels like there will be several different elements that we'll look into and dive into with this book. And I'm really excited about the haunted house aspect of it, and I'll tell you why in a second. However, I just want to say, Riley Sager, that will be my first couple of weeks of October. You know, these are fairly decent sized books, so that's quite a bit for me. I know it's only 4 books, but that's a pretty good challenge. And I just started a class. I'm taking a class this fall, and I haven't taken any classes in a while, and so I'm really excited about getting into it. And I want to make sure I keep my grades up and get all my stuff done. So of all the books I'm reading, and it's a pretty extensive TBR, if some of them don't happen because of school, I'm okay with that. But I am planning on reading all of these Riley Sager books. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about the nonfiction books I'll be reading for this month. And the reason why I said Home Before Dark is interesting is because one of the nonfiction books I'm reading is called Ghostland, An American History in Haunted Places by Colin Dickey. I'm really excited about this for a couple of reasons. It's the nonfiction choice for the book club that I run, so I have to read it anyways. However, on my travel channel, with my friend Shell, we've done a couple of trips where we've focused on haunted places and haunted happenings. It's always interesting to do those videos with Shell because I'm really not a believer, and she really is. So it's kind of fun with our back and forth trying to see if we find any ghosts in all these places we go to. And I think it's more fun that we feel differently about ghosts because it makes it more interesting. And you know, I'm not adverse to ghosts. If a ghost were to present itself to me and I couldn't describe it with science, then I'm inclined to believe. Sure, why not? I think ghosts are awesome, so I think they're really cool. I love the concept of ghosts. This book should be fun because it'll talk a little bit about the history of those houses as well as the haunting and why they're considered haunted. Okay, so what I think is really cool about this book is that the author, Colin Dickey, is actually from where I'm from, San Jose, California. And what's neat about that is he grew up like within miles of the Winchester Mystery House, which if you're interested in haunted places, most likely you've heard of it. If you haven't and you're from California, you've definitely heard of it. It's this beautiful Victorian style house, and Sarah Winchester, who had it built, was the wife of John Winchester? I can't remember her husband's name, but he was the creator of Winchester Rifle and the owner of that company. So when he died, she started suffering from ghost experiences and hearing voices and a lot of trauma. And she went to a medium, and the medium said that these were ghosts of the people who had been killed by the Winchester rifles that her husband had made. So she was being haunted by the victims of Winchester rifles. So if I remember correctly, the medium told her that she needs to build a house that doesn't end. Like, if she can keep building a house, as long as it doesn't have an end to it, she can keep like running away from these ghosts. I know that's not a very good explanation. It's been a while since I talked about the Winchester Mystery House. However, the point is that she has this house which has a ton of rooms, and a lot of them have really strange features to them, like a door that goes nowhere, or a door that where you just, if you step outside of it, you fall to the like two stories down, or staircases that go nowhere but to the ceiling. So she was trying to build these structures in there that kind of made it so that the house was never complete. She had to keep building, and as she kept building, she added these different elements to sort of detour the ghosts and keep them away from her. At least that's what I remember learning. And anyways, the whole point is that Winchester Mystery House is a cool haunted place. If you've never been there, I would recommend checking it out. And I'm excited to hear about some of the other places he's going to talk about in here, especially since, like I said, Shell and I like to go explore these places. So maybe we'll get an opportunity to see some of the places that are in this book. So the other nonfiction book that I want to talk about, The Lady from the Black Lagoon, Hollywood Monsters and the Lost Legacy of Milicent Patrick by Mallory O'Meara. This was actually another book that people were allowed to vote for in my book club. They get like 4 or 5 choices of books that they can choose from, and then they pick one, and that becomes the book that we read for that month. And I was really interested in this book. I don't know why. For some reason, the concept was exciting to me, so I wanted to read it. So I picked it up even though we didn't choose this book for the book club. And this is written by Mallory O'Meara. She's a writer, but she also co-hosts a literary podcast called Reading Glasses, and I've never heard it. Probably definitely have to listen to it at some point. Maybe I'll listen to it in October. And she was fascinated by the story of Milicent Patrick. Milicent Patrick is the person who actually thought up the design for the creature from the Black Lagoon. And if you haven't seen it, I'll put a little picture of it here. Even though she's the one that designed it, the credit went to some dude. I don't even know who it is. I don't care. And unfortunately, she kind of went into a little bit of anonymity after that. And so I guess this is sort of like a real life detective story, kind of trying to figure out whatever happened to Milicent Parker, where her life went after this movie. So I'm excited about that one. I don't know why. Maybe it's that like old Hollywood feel that I find fascinating. However, this is probably one of those ones where if school gets too difficult this month, it's going to be one of my like on the back burner sort of books. The next one I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to mention this briefly, it's The Dollhouse Murders. It's a kid's book, and if you're curious as to why I'm reading this, go ahead and check out my haul. I'll link it up here. I talked a bit about why I'm reading this book this month, and it should be a very quick read. That should be a fun one about dolls, and will hopefully be a little creepy for my October TBR. So now I want to talk about the audiobook that I'm planning on reading for this month, and I say one audiobook because it is 50 listening hours. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I don't know why I picked this book. The book itself is over 1,200 pages. It's just crazy. However, I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'm going to be listening to The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. I don't know too much about it except that it's about the legacy of this long line of witches called the Mayfairs. I think that in present day, Rowan Mayfair rescues this guy named Michael Curry from drowning. And of course, as you can imagine, they fall madly in love and they get married, I think, and you know, why wouldn't they? Guess I don't rescue enough men from drowning. So what you find out about Rowan Mayfair and about Michael Curry is that they both have these powers and they don't really know where they originate from. She thinks they're from her past, which she knows nothing about. His have kind of come about since I think the drowning, so I'm not really sure too much about that. I know that the two of them are trying to figure out where their powers come from, so I think that they're like on this exploration, and in that you start learning about all the different witches within the Mayfair family. It sounds like it's intriguing. And it's about witches, and I have this thing for witches apparently. Well, I'll find out actually after 50 hours of listening to this if I really do have this thing for witches. I haven't really read anything else by Anne Rice. I know that she can be kind of hit or miss, or at least some people like her and some people don't. It'll be interesting to find out if after 1,200 pages of her, if I like her as well. Okay, so the next book I want to talk to you about actually hasn't come in the mail yet either. Each month I'm trying to do this random TBR pick, at least one, maybe more in the future. I want to get through like the 1,300 books that I have on my Goodreads TBR, and I keep adding to it, so I'll never get to the ones, especially the ones further up, if I don't do something along these lines. So I've started organizing my Goodreads want to reads into like different genres, and maybe at some point I'll find out a more fun way of randomizing these and picking one, but for now I just picked 1 through 1,300 or something, and the book I ended up with this month was If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. So that book will be coming in the mail soon, and I actually picked up the movie as well, so I'll be excited to kind of read the book and then watch the movie adaptation of it. There's Tish, she's 19, and her boyfriend Fonnie, and they are in love, and they have a child, and they're planning on getting married. However, before that can happen, Fonnie gets falsely accused of a crime and he's arrested, and he's facing a long period of time in prison. It's devastating because they're just trying to start a life together, and this happens. Her family and his family are both trying to figure out ways to get him acquitted from this because he didn't do anything. So it sounds like a really thoughtful and real story, a story that we see and hear in our country on a daily basis. I think it'll be a very important read and video to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. And that'll be the only book that is not like creepy, haunted, scary, although, you know, it is pretty scary. Okay, so finally, I'm going to participate in the Fortnight Frights Readathon, which is being hosted by the Artisan Geek, who I think is so charming. I love her channel, and I like the variety of books that she represents on her channel. And the whole point of this Fortnight Frights was to get kind of away from some of the more popular horror and thriller writers and read some different types of thriller horror books. So the readathon will go for 2 weeks, which is October 18th through October 31st. And I'm gonna put all the information down below, as well as the website for Fortnight Frights and the information on the Artisan Geek, so you can go and check it out. And if you wanna join, that would be awesome. I'm gonna put up the little bingo card up here. There's 2 ways to do this readathon. The first way is that you can combine 2 prompts and read a book for those 2 prompts, or you can do bingo and do like 1 straight line here, 1 straight line there, what have you. So I decided to go along the bottom and do 4 prompts and 4 books. And I'm excited about these books because 2 of them are actually books that she is having live shows on. And in one of them, the author is gonna be part of the discussion. So I'm really excited about that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then the other one is a book that I've been anticipating for a little while anyways. So without further ado, let me tell you about my Fortnight Frights TBR. The first book I wanna tell you about is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. And this is the author that will be participating in the video discussion. I'm super excited about this. This is a well-hyped book. People are really enjoying it, and it's very popular on BookTube right now. This is going to fulfill the prompt for dark fantasy for me, because it's a fantasy. There's a witchcraft involved in this, and it's dark. It's supposed to be some pretty heavy topics, and so I'm really excited about that. The woman's name in this is Emmanuelle. She comes from this town named Bethel, I think, and it's a very religiously conservative town where people are very tight-knit, they are fervently religious, and in this town you have to follow very strict rules and guidelines of behavior and etiquette and whatnot. And she tries really hard to be devout, to be as pure and chaste as she needs to be accepted in this town. However, because she comes from a union between her mom and an outsider to the town, a person of a different race, she's really this shunned figure in the town, even though she had nothing to do with it. It wasn't her choice, but she's been shunned in the community because she comes from a blasphemous reunion. Things are difficult for her. She kind of gets pushed out of town. I think at one point she finds herself in this forbidden haunted forest. In this forest, somebody from the town had killed like 3 witches, and Emmanuelle finds a journal by her mom that discusses why her mom was in contact with these witches, what it meant about the town of Bethel. She starts finding some deep-seated secrets that I don't know what they are, but they sound like they're probably, not very good. So it sounds dark, it sounds dangerous, and it sounds like a great October read. So I'm really excited about that. It sounds really creepy. I can't wait for it. So the next prompt I'm going to fulfill is book written by an Indigenous author, and I'm going to read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the other book that the Artisan Geek is going to have a discussion of on her channel. I'm really excited about this book. I don't know that much about it, and I really don't want to know too much about it because I feel like it's not a very big book. I want to be surprised. It's been getting some mixed reviews, and I'm curious to read it because it's by an Indigenous author. And I'm gonna read a couple of his other books in the next couple months, so I'd like to see what his brand of horror is. I know that there are 4 men in this book who had an incident when they were children, and since then they've kind of moved a little bit away from the tradition of their heritage and their upbringing. And when they're out hunting, something starts hunting them, and it sounds like it's sort of like something from their past and something having to do with the fact that they have neglected their heritage. So I'm really intrigued. Like I said, it's gotten mixed reviews, and that makes me curious as to what about it people aren't connecting with. So I can't wait to read this one. That is my second prompt for Fortnight Frights. Next was a book with green on the cover. So I went for Relic, because see, it's got green on the cover. It's by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. And this one fascinates me because it's about a natural history museum, which I'm a science lover. I love natural history museums in general, like totally grab me with that. So what happens in this is that there's a new exhibit in this museum. One by one, people start dying, visitors start dying, and when their deaths are investigated, it doesn't seem like humans are killing these people. And so one of the people that works at the museum is trying to figure out what exactly is killing these people and trying to figure it out before they have this big benefit that's supposed to happen that the director of the museum's like, oh, we're going forward with the benefit. Because, there's always those greedy director owners that, won't listen to reason and continues to let something go on. I'm really excited to read this just because it sounds like a concept that I'll enjoy. It kind of feels sort of Jurassic Park-esque. I just like the concept of it, and I can't wait to read that one. So, book with a green cover. And the last but not least book that I want to talk about is a book by a Black author, and I'm going to be reading Toni Morrison's Beloved. So I actually picked this up recently on Thrift Books just because I had like a free book and it was under $5, and I was like, I've been wanting to read Beloved for a long time anyways. I've heard so many things about Toni Morrison's writing style, how beautiful it is and how impactful her stories are. I picked it up, and sure enough, when I read the prompts for Fortnight Frights, I was like, Well, there you go. This book is considered a horror, and I didn't realize that. So I was excited to learn that I could read it this month for this prompt. So it's about this woman named Setha, and she escaped slavery and ran away to like Ohio or something like that. She's being haunted by her past, all the horrible things she's seen, some of the horrible things she's done and dealt with. And she's also being haunted by her dead child. And she's sort of trying to move forward and live her life and move past the horrors of her past. But then all of a sudden, this girl, this teenage girl, shows up. She's a girl named Beloved, and she brings back all these things from her past that she was trying to forget and avoid. And she has to deal with that and figure out who Beloved is and why she's there. I'm really excited about reading this, and it's a classic, so I definitely am looking forward to reading a book by Toni Morrison, one that has been so well regarded and loved. So that's it. That's my, 13 books. I can't wait to be frightened all month. Yeah, I can't wait to be scared all month. That's weird. I'm not doing too much else for Halloween this year. I'm not really feeling it, and there's just not much to do. I'm not really gonna go anywhere, so I'm excited about this because at least I'll get the feel of this month, the creepy time of the year, the Halloween vibe. I hope you're reading something fun in this month as well. If you are, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you're reading any of the books I'm reading, let me know. Maybe we can buddy read together. That would be a lot of fun. So I hope you liked this video. Click the like button if you did, and subscribe if you want to see how successful I am this month reading creepy books. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.